This is a training video for the control group tools for the EPIC program. I'm logged in as a super user right now to show you how that the DHS representatives can assign a customer who was randomly assigned to the control group during our randomization phase, how you can assign them to an agency so that the agency can upload and input data for that customer. On the Customers tab where you land when you log into EPIC, you will go to the Control tab. Then all you have to do is enter the name of a customer. You'll see an option pop up. You can select that customer. You need to verify a date of birth, and it does want the 8 digits associated with that customer's birthday. Then you hit search. You'll see the customer come up. You'll assign that customer to an agency. If you have access to more than one agency in your area, you will click the drop down and select the agency for that customer. I'm going to select Springfield Urban League, and I'm going to click Save. That's it for assigning a customer to a control group. Then the CBO agencies will need to input the rest of the data. I'm going to switch to another screen where I am logged in as a CBO user. Once I look at the list of customers, I can scroll down my list and see the different customers who have been assigned to my agency. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to look for a customer who has been assigned to my agency that I need to update the data on. So I'm going to go to brown color. I'm going to go to their progress page. In here, the progress page looks very different than the progress page in the treatment group customers. So it's very simplified, and it is very easy to use. There are no uploads associated with this data entry. When you look at the customer, you'll be able to see their profile and the information that is added to the customer's profile. You can see all of the information about when they were assigned to the control group and their address, all of the information associated with that customer. When you click on the progress page, you return to the screen that we just saw, and it allows you to see some contact information on the side, some basic information. If you click on the instructions, the screen will open up, and you can either open the file as a PDF or save the file to your computer, depending on what platform you are using to use the internet. I'm going to open it so that you can see that you will see the instructions, and they're all there. You'll want to click there for the most current instructions. When you are reporting for a customer, you will want to select the time period for the report that you want to input. So I'm going to click on the date, and if I click on the number, I can pick a year. I'm going to go back to 2016, and I'm going to go to July of 2016. I'm going to select. Once I select that time period, I can go into the provider intake status, and I see that my report has not been submitted by the unsubmitted word at the top of the tab. You'll see the name, you'll see the DHS case ID, you'll see the study ID, you'll see the provider information, where it was assigned and when, and then we will see the application submitted date, and does the customer understand English? This is pulled from the application. You can enter the orientation date, and I'm going to put in the date for July of 2016, and I'm going to just pick the 4th of July. They did show up for their orientation, and their initial assessment was entered in July on the 5th. And their initial assessment was tested well, will be enrolling customer in work experience. Then any other activities that happened during the month of July, you would also enter on this screen. So we have re-engagement dates, reassessment date. We have engagement exempt, if the customer became exempt, when they were conciliated, what the result of that conciliation was, whether they were sanctioned, or whether the case was canceled. And then if the case is complete, you have a number of reasons that you could select from. If the customer is in progress, that is the default. When you enter information, make sure that you just click Save until you are totally complete with that month before you enter the Submit. So now I'm going to go back, and I realized that the customer did not attend some training sessions. So we're going to enter also that the customer had a conciliation date. So I'm going to uncheck the not applicable. I'm going to enter in the conciliation date. We're going to go back to 2017. They didn't show up on the 6th and 7th. I called them in for conciliation on the 10th, and I know that's not the right time frame for DHS, but I'm just using this as an example. The conciliation reason is did not attend all training sessions. And then if you had a date and the customer attended, then you can select whether it's either recommend sanction or did they do a conciliation agreement. So if we did a conciliation agreement, we're going to do the conciliation results date. We're going to go back to our July of 2016 date, and they showed up on the 11th, and this date is the 16th. So I have to go back to another year. So their conciliation date was the 11th, so I noticed that mistake and I had not submitted yet. So that's a good thing to catch. The customer agreed to regular and complete participation. Alright, so now I'm going to go down and save again so that the information is in there. The next piece that I'm going to show you how to do is to add some work experience. When you add work experience, you just click on the top of that tab, Add Work Experience. We're going to put in the location of the work experience, the type of work experience. So there's a couple of different options. If you pick job search or job readiness, it will require you to add an additional activity because job search and job readiness are not standalone activities. So you could pick work experience, earn fair, community work, or the two job search, job readiness opportunities. I'm going to pick work experience. The start date when they got themselves squared away was the day after their conciliation, so July 12th. They did not have a wage because it was work experience, and the end date was in the same year, 2016, and it was November 30th. And the work experience result was they completed. So I'm going to save that work experience. When you save a work experience, the item is automatically added in there. You can go back in and edit it. We also got this customer signed up for some vocational training. Now the vocational training and the educational input information is very similar. You can look up providers and it will automatically add some of the information. I'm going to add a vocational training and I'm going to look up a provider. When you look up the training, type in the smallest possible search word to get the most results. So you can see there's a whole lot of pieces here, but we aren't quite sure what that training program might exactly be. So if I just hit search, I will see a number of programs that pop up, and I can find a program that is the right one at the right training location. So I'm going to select this course number 202 in Romeoville. And as you can see, I have green checks by my other items. I've got a red check here because I don't have all of the information completed. So when I pick a training status, did they start it or are they complete? So if you enter complete now and put in all of the dates, that will pull forward for you in the system, so you only really have to enter it once. Now if the customer is still in process, then you would do started. If they withdrew from the program, you would obviously pick withdrew. So I'm going to put complete. I'm going to put the training start date, and it is the 2016 July. They started a week after their work experience, so they started on the 18th, and then they finished their training program in January of 2017 on the 31st. They did earn a credential, so I'm going to add in the credential, and it was an occupational skills license. It is titled AWS, and the date they earned the credential was from 2017, and they earned it on February 6th. So I'm going to save that credential. Now, it won't show up until the time period that they earned it, but it will be there when we get to the February date for 2017. Now that's done, and you can see the green check mark up here at the top. We're also going to add some support services. So for the support services, you have a number of options. You can scroll through the list and find the pieces that are applicable to your customer. If you select other, for example, other support services, because you don't see your item in the list, it will give you a drop down for what the item is. So we got this customer a welding uniform kit, and it was for pre-employment, or it could be for follow-up, or it could be IEE, which is the initial employment expense. The amount of the support service was $150. The frequency was just one time. The start date of the support service was in the 2016 time so that they could have it for class. And the end of the support date was the same time period, the same day. And the total cost was $150. So I'm going to save that service. I'm also going to add another service, and this one is for transportation. So I'm going to scroll down to the bottom of the list and get to transportation. It was pre-employment. It was $28 a week. I'm going to pick weekly. We started the support on July 12th of 2016, and we ended the support in February once the customer received their training. They got a job. But we're going to put that it ended here, and I'm guessing at the total here. I'm going to put $793 for a total, and I'm going to save that service. So now I've got a couple of services here. I've got a green check mark. The customer did not get employment until February, so I'm going to save this information for July of 2016. I'm going to go back and take a look. It looks like I've got everything in here for what I needed to add for that customer. So I'm going to submit for this month. I'm going to submit. It asks me if I want to submit. I can't change any records once I hit the submit button. So I'm good. I've had this checked. My suggestion to you is, if you have a project assistant or an administrative assistant help you enter the data, that a supervisory person who is responsible for the program actually checks it and hits the submit button. So here we're going to submit. And when we go to history, we now see that in this customer's history we have a submitted record. So I see the submitted record and I can go in and take a look at it. So I can view this, but I cannot make changes. It'll let me type, it'll let me pick dates, but there's no way to actually save or submit. So you have to make sure that you're in the right month doing the right work. I'm going to go now to the next month. I'm going to go to August of 2016. I'm going to select. Now, if you have entered data that bridges more than one time period, you can pull the data forward. So right here I have nothing entered. I do have some work experience because that covered a number of months, and I do have a supportive service that bridged another couple of months. But if I want to pull data to pull forward, perhaps maybe the customer was on a sanction and you need to submit the report, you can pull the data forward. It will ask you, what do you want to pull forward? We can pull provider, intake status, vocational training, or education. I know I didn't have anything in education for this customer, so I'm just going to pull these two pieces. I pull, and then the information that I entered was automatically added into the system. Now the not applicable is here, so we don't need that. We don't have anything for the conciliation results now. The customer is in process, so I can save this. It won't make any difference if you leave the orientation date or the initial assessment date. It will not duplicate the records. The customer is still in progress. I'm going to go down and I'm going to check the work experience just to make sure it's still work experience through November. The customer did not leave. They continue to move forward in the work experience. The vocational training is still the same. They completed, so I'm good with that. The support services, they were still getting their transportation, so that was good. This customer basically is done for this month. So instead of having to enter anything else, I can hit submit. This works great if you have a customer who is already completed and you know that their records are all finished for that time period. It works well for customers who are still in progress, that you can enter the dates where you know something will continue through. If something happens and you do need to end a support service or cancel a customer for another time period, then you can just go in and edit. So in here you can edit the work experience once for the following month. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to go to February of 2017. So I'm going to look at this month. I'm going to select, and I see that I don't have any data. The pull data function works for the previous month. So if you're working month after month in entering data, you can pull continue to pull forward 1 month. But what I wanted to show you here was we do have a credential listed. So if I click on that month, I see the occupational skill license for the month of February. When you enter employment, so this is the February reporting period, when you enter the employment, you can add employment here. So I'm going to put that this customer got a job. I'm fast forwarding here. You will need to complete all of the months in between the last month that you just did, that I just demonstrated, and this month. But just to let you know, you can pull that data forward if it continues to move forward. I'm going to enter a employment for this customer, so I'm going to enter Willie's Welding, and I have a start date of employment. We went to 2017. We are in February. This customer started the very next day. Their occupation, what industry, what is it in? So they're in manufacturing. What is their job title? So they are a basic welder, level 1. Whoops, that's an exclamation point. Level 1. And their weekly hours of employment are 35 to start with. Their rate of pay is $17.50. Was the employment validated? Now we don't have to upload anything here, but we do need to mark some items. So we have yes, they got a pay stub and we verified it through the pay stub. This customer is still working there, and so we can save this employment. Once we save the employment, we'll see a green check mark here. This is all good for now. If the customer needed some initial supportive service, maybe they needed to get a background check. So let's see, is there, nope, no background check in here. So we're going to do other support service. We're going to do background check. We're going to do initial employment expense, and the amount of the support service received was $25. The frequency was 1 time. The start date of the support was 2017, and it was February, and it was on the 6th. Well, actually we knew he was going to get the job, so we did it on the 3rd. The end date of the support service was in 2017, and it was February, and it was the 3rd, and it was $25. So we're going to save that service. So here we have this support service. We have his work experience has been done. We are going to mark this customer in the control area that he is completed. When he's completed, was the case canceled? And if this customer is employed and he's still currently employed, then you can mark it. My suggestion is that it's not going to do you much good right here to enter that date, because I believe you have 120 days of completion. So technically this customer is still in progress, and then you would end up submitting the customer as hired 30 hours a week. And this, if you know the date, you can enter it, but right now it's not going to do you any good for this particular month unless they're already completed. So we're going to save, and then I'm going to hit submit. So that month is going to be reported. Alright, that's it for our training. If you want to add any further case notes, you can add it on the case note page, but this is not a communication tool. It is only a reporting tool. So most of the information that you're going to add will be on the items the results, the text boxes for the reasons or the results. So that's it for now. If you have any additional questions, please feel free to contact Epic at illinoisworknet.com, and we will be happy to answer those questions for you. Thanks. Have a great rest of your day.